Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 45 of Orchid Bay. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much indeed for all the support on a little live stream last week. We had a bunch of fun building out some Scorned Bitties Beach over here. So thanks for all support. It's always nice to hang out with you guys on the stream and come up with ideas together. And of course, for last episode, during the factories, all very much enjoyed, and yeah, it's fun little builds. And today we're actually going to continue the format of heavy industry, because we're going to head over the hills and far away to begin work on this area of the map, which is going to be Orchid Bay's main industrial cargo harbour. And it's going to be split up into a few episodes, so today I think we're actually going to work on the cargo port itself, basically within this little space here. But you guys let me know what else you want to see out this way. Very strong industry vibes. We've got some decent enough size space to fill before we hit the tile boundary. So let me know what you want to see here. Of course, it has to be in and around the cargo / industry theme, but today let's get started with tying these highways together and also bringing through our first network from this little tunnel here. And then we can have some fun with our first cargo harbour for the city. Get started, shall we? So let's get started today by looking at these highways. So the wise and wonderful and beautiful Sidai, of course, who made this map, left in these really cute little details here, which is a real shame. See how much of a difference this makes, right? Having access to industrial props. Why can't we get these in vanilla? So annoying. But either way, the Sidai has done a wonderful job here of detailing this for us. He did actually set these up as 3-lane, but I'm going to go ahead and downgrade them into 2-lane highways. And I would like to respect his design, so we're going to keep them in. And we're going to delete this one here, so we know that's the end of our highway connection there. And then these have also been downgraded for most of the part, also down here as well. So of course I think we'll probably do a simple diamond interchange here, you know. And I think what we are going to do is actually trim back a little bit of these, because we can see we're slightly embanked here as the highway comes off of the mountain. So I think I want to keep that embankment going. And then in terms of what's going to happen with the bay, we can't actually do the 3 lanes this close to each other, because the suspension arches clash. So I think just a little 2-lane stretch of suspension arch over the bay, because the cargo ships are going to come straight under this. And that's going to give us a tremendously cool entrance into the cargo port, isn't it? Especially as the sort of merchant mariners are coming through here. Very grand entrance. But I'm happy with that, right? It's wonderful vanilla mechanics are actually behaving themselves for once. So in terms of the road network, let's go ahead and grab this terrain layer over here, where the highway's sat. And we know our 6-lane road's going to come through here and out this way and probably be arrived at this point. So let's make a nice wide embankment for that highway to continue flowing along. And I imagine we'll probably just do a service interchange here to get on and off this highway. It's going to hold industrial traffic. There's not going to be any particular major commercial or residential here. So a service interchange should do the job for us. That's great. Let's go ahead and get that 6-lane. I think we have cycle roads here as well, don't we? Yes, we do. It's actually 4-lane though, so we will stick to 4-lane. Let's grab this 4-lane. We will try and respect the angles here a little bit. Let's go for that one. And then if we were to come up at the maximum length, is that okay? I guess actually it makes sense to bring it a little further down, doesn't it? Because we've still got that terrain layer to play with. Yeah, something like that, I imagine. And then what we will do is grab the slope terrain and we'll come out from about here. Something like that. Maybe a little bit further than that, actually. Try and make it look as natural as possible coming out the mountains. Hopefully that's not too steep and horrific. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, we got some interesting spaces to play with here. So let me know what you do want to see out this way of the map. We haven't really spoke about this area before or planned it in. Cool, so we'll have this come all the way down here. Now let's go ahead and get those highway roads hooked together. I'm also going to have my topography tool on for this as well, just so we can stay within this embankment. Try and get some nice sweeping curves on here as well. And we can worry about lane maths and such like in a second. Let's get this sloped out now as well, so we'll go from here to here. That should even out a little bit more. Break this off too. So it's super handy that Sidai just happened to prepare this highway connection, otherwise all this industrial traffic would have to be coming through our own networks here, which we did not prepare that to happen, so it's good that this is here. Yes, and then just come straight down this way, and then we will align with these guidelines first. Make sure we come off our angle snap here as well. Let's line it up there, and then we'll connect them in here. Cool, so that actually completes the highway chain there. It's very overly engineered. I agree, having the bridge snake up the mountain like this, but it looks very cool, so we'll definitely keep it in. Definitely kind of aesthetics over engineering, I guess, is the theme here. And then what we will do is just flatten out these layers over here now, so that embankment on the highway becomes a little more accentuated, which again will give us a nice layer of height that runs through this build. And then I guess we'll just break the highway connection here, push this road through, and then we can use this now to create the service interchange. We'll grab the road through this way, and I guess a fun little roundabout here actually might be quite useful. So yeah, I think we will do a roundabout here on the entrance to the road actually. Let's go ahead and lose our road guideline, and we'll do a nice little 5 deep one up against the coast. Cool, and then we can switch back to probably the compact 4-lane road now. I think I don't want lots of chunky roads everywhere here. And keep this running, and then have it just go down this way, and then of course we can use that as spare road frame for whatever lies over this side of the bay. So, you know, don't forget to leave comments for that again, and we'll mention it again. And I guess we could possibly stick some service industry down here, maybe a little bit of garbage collection or a landfill or something. Fire helicopter depot. Little micro build to fill this space near the beach perhaps. And then let's grab those highway roads again now and hopefully reinstate the bridge, although we're going to have to do some elevation here. Cool, so we can enjoy this industrial infrastructure moving around now, and then I think around the sides we're just going to go ahead and slope this down and create some relatively wide slip ramps that can allow people access into the container port. Let's go ahead and lock into one of the grid positionings here, and then we'll just get a nice happy, let's go some of that angle snap too. Nice happy sweeps up here. Cool. Cool, so we'll have that there, and then and if we can do little stretches of 210 back in here, something like that. Cool, and then we'll make sure that we have our same ramps happening over here again as well, so we'll hit that grid snap in and do the same over here as well. Let's make sure we prepare all our landscape, and then we can grab that same grid snapping again as well. Let's make sure we're roughly in the same position so we get some sort of symmetry. And we'll have this flow up here. And then we can prepare those slip ramps again too. Cool. And then we can do the same on the other side, but I think what I might actually end up doing is hooking them into this one rather than the roundabout. I guess we'll sort of see what happens. I am actually interested to see now actually, because this is hooked in, to see if anyone actually comes and uses this to get in and out of the downtown, because it is technically hooked in. Also want to make sure our directions are appropriately arranged, and we'll also lose the traffic lights from this junction as well. And let's go ahead and start sloping all this out here as well, although I do want it to be a little bit closer than that. Other than that should be okay. A nice wide soft in here if we can. Then I think coming out of the cargo port here, if they want to leave, then they can just have a pretty simple slip ramp. We shouldn't have too insane gradients here, should be alright. Yes, we'll just have these peel off on the angle and come into here. We'll also add a little 2-lane section at the end there as well, so they can go left and right if they need to. Possibly back up to there as well. Might actually stretch that out a little bit further than that. Let's go for this way over here. And then we'll come into that 2-lane segment and hook it in on a curve tool, something like that. Cool. That should provide exit for that, and then if we want to get back on this way, I guess we can just repeat the same slip ramp over here, can't we? It's the same sort of general premise. Again, this can come up and just gradually find a happy place to put back into the highway. And super decoratable interchange as well. We'll have different slip ramps and tree patterns around here, fencing as well. Put out some nice service interchange spices. Desperately keen to see someone come and use it. I'd love to actually see someone come down this highway for the first time. Oh yes, here we go. So it should be significantly faster actually for the AI to get into the downtown this way rather than actually going through the rest of Orchid Bay. So let's wait till they get to the interchange and see where they go. So here they come. Of course they're all coming off here for right now. Then they filter off at the fork. Sure, we don't have node controller here, so it's fun to node control these sorts of little exit ramps. There we go, he's going to take the roundabout now, right? It's always hard switching back to right-hand traffic after playing Dacia. But this is a lot of fun. And there they go. Back on the ramps, they come down. People coming out of the downtown now as well, aren't they? Cool. Interesting to see if we get any cycling over here, actually. I'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But very satisfying, everyone, to finally see one of those connections come to fruition now. And we do have another connection to provide, but I imagine that'll be part of whatever gets built over here and these areas, because we want to bring that connection from, I believe it was this valley, wasn't it? And we also had, which we haven't seen before, because remember when we built Biffa Gardens quite a few months ago now, we said that we would one day have a wonderful view over to that skyline, which didn't exist then. Now we have that super wide boy, right? Really nice. What a view. That's going to be a great drive-in, but we'll prepare that connection once we come to build over that way. But traffic is flowing here now. Right, let's now turn our attention towards the major cargo infrastructure that's going to sit over this way. So first of all, when we're building these major container ports, especially in vanilla, when we don't have Move It or Anarchy or anything like that, it's important that we prepare our land masses first. So Sidai has definitely, especially this whole area of the map, is definitely teased into being developed into a cargo harbour. So I'm just going to trim back a few of these little land masses here because I want to get all my keys aligned first. I'm happy to maintain a little bit of the shape that Sidai's gone for, but if we're going to be using keys we need a little bit more room than this. So I'm just going to trim off some spaces. I'm happy with these ones over here as well, just to make sure that's a little more level. Should be pretty easy to get these in. Yeah, and that should give us a general shape, and we do have plenty of shipping connections here as it comes all the way through. So let's go ahead and choose a key. Again, I imagine simple seawall fenceless is going to be the best thing for the job. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this keyed. I think simple fenceless is my favourite one to go for here. There's great texture on that as well, isn't it? Love these keys. So good. But either way, yeah, let's get this whole shoreline keyed up and then we can start placing some large assets. Cool, so after about 5,000 years the shoreline's finally aligned and we now have the general shape of our cargo port in here. See what I've done? Just follow the shape of Sidai's main landmass and chiseled off a little bit like we did earlier. But this does now allow us to start placing some chunky assets. So with these things, of course, the main meat and potatoes of the build is always cargo harbours themselves. And I definitely want a few of these in, especially for the aesthetics of the cranes. So let's have 2 here. That should be pretty cool, I think. And also want one here as well, because I've only just noticed that we do actually have external rail line here. So I'd love to be able to... So I usually hate these assets, the ones with the train line on them. But I think we can use them here. But I'd like them on a certain angle, because I don't really want lots of huge train bridges flowing across the bay. It looks like that key there will actually stop it from functioning. So if we were to delete it and have that back in, can we reinstate the key after that? We can, but not to its full connection, but I can live with that though. And then let's also grab this train line here. Yeah, so this is just like, happens to be perfect positioning. I tend to not really like these assets that much. Because I don't really like the aesthetic of trains coming out of the bay like that. It just looks a little odd, I think. But just with the way this is aligned, it's kind of perfect here. So let's bring this down, and then hopefully just a happy curve with road guidelines should see everyone home there. Fabulous, so we'll have that. And then could possibly go for one more, I guess. We could possibly do one. I think we'll just do another regular cargo harbour and have that in there maybe. We will have to blend in some of the jank that we're getting here in vanilla with rocks, but that should be a pretty easy job. And then what I do want to do here actually is once we come to establish the road network, we want to make sure we've got a pretty effective one-way system flowing in, because there's going to be a lot of industrial traffic coming out of this. Especially once we start to add in the next feature, which is going to be the factories of the build. So let's have one here and come into our factories. So we've got a number of options left now. Of course, we did use a few last episode. We got the seafood factory, but I want to put that over near Sharon, not over here. So the industrial steel plant is always a very firm favourite indeed, isn't it? Because it's such a chungus. Major industrial vibes with this one. I think in terms of orientation, that's going to sit tremendously well, isn't it? Next to our container ports themselves. Just that aesthetic right there, that's the build done, isn't it? Right, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day. No, I am, of course, joking. Let's come to the back of this now, so I think definitely we'll flip this around. Let's catch on to the road guidelines of those fences. And then we'll have the industrial steel plant here. We can delete that now as well. Can we actually drop the airport aprons here? Because if we can, having ploppable concrete for a cargo harbour is going to be enormously game changing. Now it's interesting though, isn't it, that it's locking, it's actually clashing with the sub building there. That's what's causing that. If we terraformed the land around it first, would that help? Because I know it does clash with water. Yeah, it's trying to snap to the key, isn't it? Which is a little bit of a shame, but we can make do without it at this particular point. Let's make sure we re-amend that terraform as well while the steel plant floods. That's okay. So this thing does want metal, which we are producing in very small quantities over at Shay's mineral storage. But there's no reason why we can't import ore here and actually use the ore grinding mill, isn't it? The one we have at the minute. The glass manufacturing plant. No, it is the ore grinding mill. Yeah, I think we can have a couple of these out here and actually get them used. We do actually have ore out this way, but I don't really want an ore mine next to the cargo harbour. Cool, but this is fun. Let's actually make them functional now. So let's grab our roads, and I think we're going to drop in a little pre-made roundabout. Should be fairly sensible, but I do want it to actually be snapped onto the 90-degree point of one of these. So let's draw that down so we have that angle. And then let's have this here. And then we can delete that. That way we know we're orientated up at the same angle now. We'll also brace our roundabout too, just by locking it in place as such. Let's delete this one too. And then we'll grab those 2-lane highway roads. Let's actually leave that road in just so I've got the road guideline snap. It will help me position things in. Into our grid snap into. And then if we can grab a little freeform angle. As we come across one closer into it. We just want to get a nice little curve there. 400 in cost should do, I think. There we go. Cool. And then we can feed these up and alongside this guideline now. Very similar to how we actually started the city here with this highway entrance. And then we'll keep them going parallel for a little bit longer. And then once we're near the guideline, I think curve tool and guideline should see everyone home and tucked up into bed. Obviously once we've arranged our directions here too. And then we can delete this one here. And probably the bracings as well, but we'll see what happens with those in a second. So let's introduce an effective one-way loop here. So we're going to upgrade these guys into 3-lane. And then we'll come down into the 2-lane roaded wide sidewalks here. And then we'll begin our one-way loop from this point. So let's come up this way, and we'll also hit the road guideline of this one down here. So we'll connect them straight in like that. Are you going to come right across like this for me? I'm hoping we can detail that with rocks. We should be able to. And then I just want to link all these cargo ports together now with this same one-way network. We'll bring it down and out here to hook back in with the roundabout, and then also provide an exit for the steel plant to be served. And then this will also now flow through into a one-way loop as well. And then we'll also have a closed loop over this way too. So it'd be fun if we could have the storage right by the steel plant for this. So the metal, how far off we get in the rotary kiln plant, which will give me significantly more metal, wouldn't it? How far is Shay's mineral storage from leveling up? It's smashed through its resource cap. It's just a worker count level, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to spam some extractor buildings like we've looked at before to get Shay's mineral storage up to level 3, just so I can get the rotary kiln plant for the port. And then we'll be right back. So there we go, there's the process. I will show it again just because I know people do like to see it. But, you know, spam down extractor buildings, and no matter if you have the resource or worker demand, the industry area will automatically pull in workers. It's very cheesy, but it does unlock the assets a little bit earlier, and it will also make Shay's mineral mine a lot easier to build as well when we do eventually get around to that build. So, nice little trick. Cool, so now we can return back toward the cargo hub itself. I'm just going to very quickly and crudely complete the one-way loop, so we can see trucks moving around and garbage and whatnot can be collected. And there's our first ship as well. How exciting. He's getting dumped straight onto the train, and then he's going to leave as an outside connection. Fabulous. Tell you what I wouldn't mind actually happening here is using an airport's cargo train station as well. And having this in here and having a little rail crossing in the cargo port. Let's not forget to do that. Let's actually give ourselves a little connection here where that could possibly happen. And then just adjust these lines to flow back into the harbour. And then knock this one back a little bit, and these should just connect pretty seamlessly in. So we can split the cargo line here, and then this one can come into the port itself. And then we'll have that airport's one over there. But now we do have that industry area leveled up. We can grab a little bit of Shay's mineral storage. We're just going to drag the area over here, give it a little scribble, and then we can tidy up that one there. So Shay's mineral storage has invested in a little plot in the cargo harbour. They definitely have a little satellite sort of industry area out this way. And let's have a little look at this chungus here. So this is going to make metal for the steel plant. And again, these are super chungus boys, absolutely enormous, very, well, they fit very well within a cargo port build, don't they? I think I'm down for that, but I probably don't want them here. I'd probably like 2 of them back to back actually, now we're seeing them. So let's break our one-way loop here. We don't need to be one-way in this particular part of the system. Mainly just to keep all the traffic from the cargo harbours going. So let's bring this industrial road down here. Again, we'll have something out on this peninsula as well. So in terms of orientation, I love them kind of angled against the highway as you're coming sort of past it. I do also want to check as well if it's possible just to have one on this little peninsula. We'll see. Oh, here we go. Look at that. How cool. That's so nice. How amazing. Welcome to Orchid Bay, Mr. Freight Ship. Traffic moving around over there too now. Tremendously exciting. Are you guys going to come over the bridge? Oh yes they are. Fantastic news, there we go. Oh how cool. This is going to be one of the best container ports we've done in vanilla, I think. Just the scale and the position here with the mountains and all the industrial vibes we can piece together. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you are currently enjoying the episode up to this point. Cool. So in terms of the rotary kiln, let's bring it down all the way to here. And then I'd love it if we could have it one sat here. Pretty impressive drive-by, isn't it, as you come into the port. Let's move it over a little bit though. Something like that. And then let's just adjust this frame now. No guideline either here. Cool. And then we'll wrap that back up. So also upgrade this section as well to industrial road so we don't get any weird snapping. Bring that back down. And then I think this is going to be too narrow for one, isn't it? Oh, it wouldn't be too narrow actually if we change that up, which we're definitely going to do. Well, then again, we do have a very tiny amount of ore here, and I reckon the medium ore mine would actually serve itself tremendously well by having a little operational crane here. So that's what we're going to do. Shay's mineral storage is dramatically increasing in size today, but it'll be worth it. It'll make making the actual sort of excavator ore mine a little easier when we get over there. So let's delete this, and then we can actually have this here because we've got the natural resource, and that will give us a operational crane as part of the cargo harbour, like something that's actually animated, which I'm tremendously okay with. I don't mind that at all. Although it'd be good if we could actually put these in at the same angle. There we go. Okay, so I'm happy to have that here for right now. It's actually going to start producing ore locally for us, which wasn't the plan today. That's very much just been a happy accident. And then we'll also store the natural resource for the rotary kiln plants here too. So why don't we go for a little back-to-back positioning of some of the coal storage. These are super duper nice assets. Also come into our grid as well. And see if we can position a couple of these back-to-back. Just like that. And some concrete would go down nicely here actually. Can we use some airport aprons just to fill this space up? And that's pretty tasteful, isn't it? Although, you boys not aligned? That's because the grid structure is broken here, isn't it? Let's redraw that. Absolutely fabulous. That's tremendously exciting, isn't it? So of course they're all whinging right now that they don't have enough resources, but soon they absolutely will. But as a general, enormous position there for some configuration of some larger assets, that is very much welcome into the cargo harbour vibe, isn't it? We could double up the rotary kiln, which again I still might do, I think. Just because they look so good back to back. So I think we'll allow that to happen. We'll position them probably out this way. We might need to bend this one here out a little bit, but it's only a temporary connection anyway. So if we delete this one here, and then we'll have a second rotary kiln. Fabulous. So we can align them at the back, and I guess we could actually also flip this one on its back as well. That would essentially mirror the asset, right, and create one enormous, super chungus, industrial-looking building. Okay, really important for cargo harbour vibes to get infrastructure like that, and I just think generic zoned industry just doesn't achieve the vibe of a cargo port. But I'm really happy with that. So let's just break that connection for right now, and then we can wrap these guys up, and then we'll also allow the one-way loop to flow parallel to this as well, because we can get some nice overgrowth and fence detailing between these networks as well. So we'll leave 3 tiles between them. And can we come... Might as well just come straight up over here now, actually. How don't we hit that road guideline? Cool. And then... Oh, that's so close. How annoying. How annoying. That's like 1 tile, isn't it? It's okay though. What we will do here is build an exit system for those first 2 container ports, so they don't need to come all the way through the loop. They can just exit out here if they need. And that should allow our container port to flow a little more efficiently. And whilst we're here as well, we'll also add in another industrial road for this loop here, just so they can get out easier. Something like that. Cool. And then we'll have a little bit of build guide forest here between the rest of the build and everything else. Cool. So we should now have a very cool industrial looking approach into the harbour here. Forest is a little too thick, isn't it? It's on max strength, that's why. That's way too much. There we go. Something like that should be okay. Cool, but I am much happier with that. That's turned into some really nice chunky infrastructure over there. Let's turn our attention now towards this larger secondary space that we have to use. Okay, let's turn our attention now toward this little plot over here. We've got some fun ideas for this one, I think. So, if at all possible, I'd like to configure a bit of a sort of main entrance for the port, perhaps where the various heavy goods vehicles can come and report in once they arrive. Submit papers, etc. So let's make sure this is the same length here. What we're playing with here, that's 300. Make sure we have that the same this side too. There we go. And then I think road maintenance depot is possibly going to be the best shot for this one here. And we'll stick a little bit of car parking next to that as well. It looks like a multi-story here as well, actually. That might be quite cool if we can get that in. See if we can work it in. Let's move this over a little bit, actually. Cool, so we'll have that as a bit of a main office, if you like, and then we'll put some car parking out the front. Although, in hindsight, I reckon the Japanese stuff is probably going to be best for the cargo harbour, isn't it? Yeah, the large Japan ones. Get a couple of these in instead of the regular ones. Go for those, and we'll change this one up as well. Cool, might be a little bit more appropriate perhaps. And then probably a significant amount of concrete up at the front of this as well, I imagine. Thank the Lord for airport aprons now, right? Cool. Then maybe some pathways as well around this. It'd be fun to see people walking up to the car parking if we can get it in. And then not averse to having a little bit more of it here as well. Go ahead and get some pathways through this space. It's always fun trying to configure little entrance ways using new assets that you've got to play with now. We'll have that go up there, and then we'll snap to the angle as we meander around this space. It should get a little bit of use. Should be fun seeing people walk in the open concrete area. Guess we'll wait and see. Cool, but that gives us a bit of an entrance. Of course we'll detail it from our time lapse, but it's at least in for right now. Now we definitely wanted the airport's train yard in as well, didn't we? So let's position this first. I imagine we're going to want it possibly coming out of here. So let's grab our airport cargo station. And if we could have this here. Again, I'm really keen for the aesthetic of the operating cranes. I think it's just going to be so cool for a vanilla cargo harbour to have that. And then maybe we can have the second one come directly behind here. My freight is burning down as we're trying to configure them, but the more I see it now, I don't know, kind of questioning the positioning. I think maybe they both want to be on sort of a similar angle. So let's actually remove this one here. Happy with this one to sit behind that's currently burning down. Let's have... Let's see, what sort of width are we playing with here? Make sure we're on our grid snap as well. Got 270, so let's go for about there. Hopefully should see us through. And we can grab that one again. Then positioning them this way is almost going to give us a little bit of a rail yard. Sort of in the cargo harbour, which is going to be an incredibly cool aesthetic, I think, isn't it? So whilst it does continue to burn, that will feed this one into there. That shouldn't be too horrific, I don't think. We're going to need lots of curves here. Can we create a second connection out of this one? I'm not averse to a second pedestrian crossing. Or rail crossing rather, because it's not a horrendously busy road, is it? And it is one way, so it should be able to sustain itself. I will say that as a cargo harbour is backing up though. Cool, so let's keep that going out on an angle then, and then it should just be a simple case of happy guideline and keep everyone hooked in together. And this one down as well. And freeform should see you looking at a relatively sensible angle. Fabulous. And we can't cross here, can we? Oh no, we can. But not effectively though, because they're so close together, aren't they? That's okay then. Let's not worry too much about that. Let's square off any concrete that we like here. Have it come up to there, I think. And then we can use these roads here to hold probably a little bit of industrial zoning. I imagine some garbage processing is also going to go well here. We could also get the warehouse rail connection in and actually store some goods here, which this space here is pretty much perfect for, so I imagine we'll do something with that there. In that case then we can have either a large warehouse here, which would fit in and probably partner rather nicely with the train yard. And if we can get 2 of these in. If we were to have you bring this road out of here a little bit, just so we can place it. We might actually even be able to remove that. No, you do lose your connection, don't you? How much of a road do you need? Literally just there, is it? Okay then. Oh, no, don't do that. Let's bring this across by a couple of tiles, and then we should be able to delete that connection. And then what we can do is actually use this area here as a little bit of sort of frontal open concrete cargo space. See, this is where we're screaming out for vanilla props like this. For vanilla. It's so weird that they omitted them from the game. I will never get over that. But there we go. Perfect for detail in these areas, right? But yeah, I think a couple of large warehouses here will definitely complement the industrial vibe. Trim off this frame here as well now. And I don't think it'd be massively against having another entrance into the one-way loop here as well. It also serves as an exit if any of the trucks want to get in here. Which they probably won't, but we'll have it factored in anyway. And then I guess just commercial zoned goods here because there's so much import coming in. And unique factory products, since we've got a factory here too, is going to be the best shout for that, I think. Train traffic's not too horrific. There's a lot of ones coming into this one here though. Which should be okay, I guess. Not causing traffic, is it, so we can't complain. And then we definitely want garbage processing over here as well. I'm desperately trying to find a way to use this eco-friendly incinerator plant. They still haven't used it. I just don't know. I just prefer the Japanese one, like we said last episode, right? It's just so much nicer. Well, not nicer, because it's a massive brutalist industrial building, but suits the vibe more, doesn't it? But there we go. Got people using a little walkable space now to get back into. Or tourists visiting the car parks, but whatever, they're here, right? They're here. Okay, but I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go for it. We're going to have, how much are these to upkeep? 800. What's our current garbage processing status? We can do with 2 of these then, actually. So let's hook into the one-way loop system here. And then we'll create little platforms where we can use a couple of these assets here. And we've definitely got the room to do another one there too, so we'll go for a little 120 platform. You're going to still fit there? And I think we'll back 2 of these onto each other. These eco-friendly plants. Going to give us 2 more smokestacks within the facility of the cargo harbour, isn't it? And again, like the rotary kilns, they're very big, impressive industrial units, which are, you know, such an important vibe, isn't it, for an industrial build? I think. And it looks like we've got room for a little bit more parking there at the base of them too, which I'm more than happy to accommodate. And do you want to get some more airport apronage in, if you will sit? And you're going to clash with the building, aren't you? That's okay though. We can probably live with that. Let's go ahead and place them in here instead. There we go. And that actually looks like a very cute place for a little bit of sort of industrial overgrowth to start peeking through, which we're going to be heading towards our detail and time-lapse soon. Lots of this stuff will come in quite handy, I think. We finally used it. finally found an excuse, but it's pretty cool. It's turned into a pretty enormous port though, hasn't it? Lots of super chungus industrial infrastructure. I think we'll also get some industrial evolution stuff knocking around here too, if not some office zoning as well. One thing I did want to look at before we do move into that detail in time-lapse was the introduction of that rail warehouse, which if we want to position it here, let's go for right there. Yeah, so it's going to make sense to have it run parallel with this one here, isn't it? Just with the angle of the rail that comes out of that one. So let's bring this one down as a bit of a frame. And you're going to be happy here. I can afford to even bump that up a little bit too if we wanted. Something like that. And then we could position a 3rd warehouse for the cargo port to hold. We're already storing... Oh, we're not storing metal, are we actually? No, we're just storing the ore. Okay, let's store metal then, because the steel plant, of course, is actually wanting to use that. You guys okay? Metals, I mean, you are producing metal. I guess it's being siphoned off elsewhere, is it? Because it's not making it to the steel plant. Hopefully having a warehouse nearby that stores that will help. And then we can provide the rail connection, hopefully, straight into there. Yeah, I don't mind that little curve. We're going to start getting some larger rail yard vibes out here as well, aren't we? Those airport cargo stations are such a cool asset, aren't they? Having stacked container ships and animated cranes just enormously elevates an industrial build, doesn't it? Really does. Airports DLC is actually good for industrial builds more than it is building airports. We've come to discover. But there we go. That industrial infrastructure really coming into play now, isn't it? But otherwise, guys, this feels like a good place for a D10 time lapse. I'm going to fill some spaces with lots of overgrowth, fencing, industrial designs, and also get in some industrial evolution zoning in here as well. And just generally tidy it all up. Some nice industrial evolution stuff against the waterfront here too. Pathways onto the quays if we want people walking around them. And generally just tie up the industrial vibes, detail our road networks as well, especially the service interchange down here. Which is flowing now. It's still flowing pretty well, although I could probably do with widening this fork out, couldn't I? It's maybe a little bit narrow, but we'll wait and see what that looks like. But either way, let's get detailing, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little detailing review, shall we? So we will head across the Bay Bridge, which looks really cool, super happy with this. And then as we come down the road, we arrive at a couple of toll booths that have been introduced with some ore fencing and lots of overgrowth, and absolutely love the aesthetic of the port as you enter it. Super cool industrial looking infrastructure from pretty much every angle. Really happy with this. Then we come down the port road into those car parks out front of the main building that we've arranged before arriving at a police station, and then a police helicopter depot as well, with a little bit of office zoning next to a post sorting facility with lots of airport aprons pretty much all over the port. And this rail yard came out really nicely. Super happy with the addition of animated cranes into a container port. It really helps with the aesthetic, doesn't it? We see our trains leaving here now as well. Super cool. Really great. Container ports around here now, of course. Lots of overgrowth around this way. Some very specific zoning of industrial evolution to get prop working like this around our industrial areas, just to help get some vanilla props in, because of course the vanilla game is desperately lacking them. And then there's just little bits of industrial evolution scattered around, bits of car parking, a little bit of office zoning in there as well. More car parking through this way at the foot of the rotary kiln plants. It just helps complement it, doesn't it, you know? Industrial evolution, so much better than generic industry. Really happy with what's growing up here. Our two recycling centres have fused together pretty nicely, and I like these back to back. Finally found an excuse to use them, of course. And then we've also got some warehouses over here as well, with little bits of overgrowth knocking around in and around more car parking. Also dropped in the high capacity fire helicopter depot over on this corner, which has great access to the water. Then we've got a bit more industrial evolution, more car parking, and some natural disaster water treatment assets. And a little bit of sewage treatment down here as well, alongside a little bit more ore storage. And then some overgrowth and some little sort of pier, maybe some like docking ports here, as little smaller ships come in to be loaded by the animated crane, which is such a cool aesthetic for a build like this, isn't it? Really love this. Yeah, super happy with it. It's turned into this enormous, massive industrial space that occupies this part of the bay. And I was just also having a look at traffic flow as well. We're currently at 86%. I just wanted to see how much pressure this new highway connection and connections into the downtown had taken off of the rest of the networks, and you know, to be at 70,000 now with some pretty major industrial builds knocking around, to be 85 to 86, it goes up to 88 as well at sometimes. But tremendously happy with that, right? Can't complain at traffic like that. So everyone's flowing nicely, and you know, don't forget to tell me what you guys want over here as we begin to build in this area of Orchid Bay, because this is actually kind of another bay area, isn't it? So let me know what else you want to see over here, but really happy with today's cargo harbour. Definitely one of the best ones we've built, I think. And we also moved these train ones over a little bit further as well, so we could also have some more industrial evolution stuff over this way. Again, props really helping with that, aren't they? So nice orientations, nice zoning, came together really nicely, one-way system, keeping everyone moving in the directions that they need to go. So super happy with it. Fun port, this one. But otherwise guys, that is going to do it for today. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out equally as much. If you haven't enjoyed it, then please do feel free to leave a dislike as well. They're always pretty significant beasts to take on these container ports, but would implore you to go and do so. They're a lot of fun, definitely one of the larger, more industrial bits of infrastructure you can put into your city. And with all the different DLCs now and little bits that have been added to the game, there's just so many different combinations of big chunky assets you can piece together, and of course they get dramatically more fun with mods. If you do have things like Move It and Anarchy, you can do so many more cool things with these. Please do enjoy the cinematics, but I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.